The woman was doing something with a pair of needles that couldn't be described as knitting. She was a cheery old soul, the kind you'd walk across the street to avoid. Oh, hi.
Hello, my handsome friend.
What does this apparatus mean to you?
Don't remind me.
Does this powder mean anything to you?
No, it doesn't.
See you later.
That's right, monsieur. You will.
You have left it very late, monsieur.
Late for what?
Anything? I am closing the museum soon. You wouldn't like to get locked in. I can tell you. Not in this gallery.
Why not?
It is haunted, monsieur.
You don't believe in ghosts, surely.
Oh, yes, I do. 7 years ago, a lad managed to hide in here. He made a bet with his friends, I suppose. When I found him in the morning, he was cold as ice and stiff as a board.
Well, what was the cause of death?
They said it was a brain tumor. But on his face was a look of stark, desperate terror such as I have never seen before.
Scary. Does this apparatus mean anything to you?
No, monsieur.
Thanks for your help. He was a thin-faced, pallid guy with a questionable taste in outlandish clothes. My mother used to dress like that. Hi, André.
Hello, Georgie.
Have you ever heard of the Hashashin?
Why, yes, it was a radical Muslim sect whose name became synonymous with murder. It was formed in 11th century Persia, shortly before the Crusades.
At roughly the same time as the Templars.
Yes, they gave a new word to our language, Assassini, the assassins.
How did the assassins get their name?
From the legends surrounding the secrets of their initiation rites. A young man who sought to join the sect was given hashish until he drifted into dreams. He awoke to find himself in a fabulous garden with everything he could wish for. The freshest water, the most delicious food, the choicest hash, and the most delectable women imaginable.
Cool. Do you have the address?
I haven't finished the story. There was a price to pay for this taste of paradise.
Wouldn't you just know it?
The young man would wake the next day to find himself back in the real world. He was told that he'd been given a glimpse of the heaven reserved for holy martyrs. A heaven he would enjoy for eternity if he was willing to join the Hashashin.
How did the assassins operate?
Well, as I explained, the new recruits would be only too willing to die for the cause. They'd be instructed in the use of the dagger, poisons, and disguise. Then the Grand Master of the sect would name an enemy of Allah.
And they'd stop at nothing to eliminate that enemy.
You got it. They were fearless and deadly.
Does the cult of the assassin still exist?
Take a look around at the world today. You tell me.
I think you ought to know that the tripod is going to be stolen.
The Lochman tripod? No.
It's true. I can give you a description of the thieves.
Before the supposed event has taken place?
I heard them planning the raid.
They're wasting their time. The tripod is protected by a state-of-the-art alarm system.
Well, don't say I didn't warn you. Why don't you loan the tripod to me for safekeeping?
Because I'd never see it again.
Well, don't you trust me?
It's not a question of trust, George. That tripod is hundreds of years old and extremely fragile.
I get your point. Thanks for your help, Andre.
You're welcome.
The case contained the tripod shown on the manuscript.
No, monsieur. No et no.
Okay. A metal rod attached to the wall was connected to the window.
Don't open it. Remember the burning cattle.
The case contained a collection of rocks. They were all shapes and colors, but they were still rocks. Above them, a sign read, L'âge paléolithique. The case contained some fragments of pottery. They looked to me like broken flower pots. Above them, a sign read, L'âge paléolithique. The case contained 2 rows of silver coins. Each coin on the lower row showed a portrait of a guy with a huge nose. It was a large brass urn. There was nothing in the urn. It was a tapestry of a lady, a lion, and a unicorn. If I'd had more time, I could have stared at it all day. Touching an object as rare and beautiful as that would have been the act of a barbarian. The totem pole looked distinctly out of place in the setting of the museum.
Watch out! You'll have that done on top of us!
It was an ancient Egyptian sarcophagus with a beautifully painted effigy of its owner on the lid.
Don't even think of climbing in there, monsieur. You'll be suffocated.
I always wondered how it felt to be a mummy. It was a stone carving from ancient Egypt. I was no desecrator of tombs.
It is closing time, Monsieur Lobineau.
Already, there just aren't enough hours in the day.
More than enough for me. I can't wait to get home and put my feet up.
Eh bien, see you tomorrow.
Good night, monsieur.
Hey, Guido! Look at this!
Quit fooling around, you moron! Get your ass over here and bring that flashlight.
Oh, Guido!
What's the big idea, you dummy? Shine the light down here.
The mummy! It's come alive!
If that's a mommy, I'm glad I'm an orphan.
It is closing time, Monsieur Lobineau.
Already, there just aren't enough hours in the day.
More than enough for me. I can't wait to get home and put my feet up.
Eh bien, see you tomorrow.
Good night, Monsieur.
Hey, Guido! Look at this!
Quit fooling around, you moron! Get your ass over here and bring that flashlight. What the... Who's there?
Let's get out of here!
And when I woke up, I was at the police station. Luckily, I managed to persuade Rosso I was innocent.
Poor Georges.
What a mess. I bungled the whole thing.
I don't think so. You made a pretty good job of distracting those two crooks.
Yeah, but the killer got away with the tripod.
No, he didn't. He's not the only one who can dress up in costume.
You mean... it was you who stole the tripod? Oh, hell, Nico. I could have been shot.
Those dogs are more likely to shoot their own feet.
I just wish you'd told me your plans. We're supposed to be in this together. And how come you dressed up like a pantomime cat?
Don't sulk, Georgie, please.
Oh, rats. And don't call me Georgie.
Oh, I really thought you'd be pleased. After all, we've got the tripod. Aren't you going to try putting the gem on the tripod?
I guess so. Nothing happened.
Yeah.
The gem fits perfectly, but what does that prove?
Maybe the tripod has to be in a certain location.
There's nothing on the manuscript to indicate where, though, is there?
Oh, by the way, I had a visit from André Lobineau.
Oh, yeah. I hope you didn't mind me giving him your address.
Not at all. It was lovely to see him again. He was over the moon when I showed him the manuscript. It's not often he gets that excited. He made a sketch of the knight's crest to take back to the museum. I believe he's identified the family who bear that crest.
I sure hope so. Lobineau explained who the Hashashin were.
Yeah?
The cult of the assassins.
Oh, boy!
What do you think the purpose of this tripod is?
On the manuscript, the gem is shown mounted on top of it.
So, we risked a criminal charge to steal a display stand?
Don't ask me. Maybe it's intended to hold the gem in a specific position.
What do you think the purpose of this tripod is?
I'm not sure.
Let's take another look at the manuscript. There's a guy with a sword and a bull. Between them is a gem supported by a tripod. The That's the gem that Pegram found in Loch Marn. That's the tripod we borrowed from the museum. Do you want to look after the gem?
No, Josh. I'd be too tempted to sell it.
I have to go.
Already? You only just arrived.
Time and tide wait for no man.
Okay, I'll see you later.
Oh, hi.
Hello, my handsome friend.
Do you know what this tripod was used for?
I couldn't imagine.
See you later.
That's right, monsieur. You will.
No way. The attendant had an air of self-importance and a kind of steely eyes that never seemed to blink. The case was empty. The glass case was intact, but the tripod had been replaced by a sign reading, "Exhibit temporarily removed." Pardon me.
Oui, monsieur? Oh, it's you. Well, what do you want now? You're not going to try to hide in that closet again, are you?
What can you tell me about the collection of coins?
A rare example of silver coinage from the reign of Philippe le Bel. That little hoard lay buried for centuries in a field on the outskirts of Paris. They're unique. Nothing like them has been found anywhere else in Europe.
What can you tell me about the collection of coins?
A rare example of silver coinage from the reign of Philippe le Bel. That little hoard lay buried for centuries in a field on the outskirts of Paris. They're unique. Nothing like them has been found anywhere else in Europe.
What can you tell me about the collection of pottery?
Those are remains of pots used by the original inhabitants of Paris, the Paris pot people.
When did they move out?
15,000 years ago, monsieur. Vanished in the mists of time. Didn't even have time to pack up their pots.
I hear your tripod was stolen.
Nothing travels faster than bad news. It is true. It happened last night. I always said that alarm was no good.
Do you recognize this tripod?
It is vaguely familiar.
I should think it is.
Very similar to the one which we used to have here at the museum. In fact,
That's what I thought.
but this is obviously a poor copy.
Right. Thanks for your help. Hi, Andre.
Hello, Georgie.
What's with the long face?
Haven't you heard? The tripod was stolen.
No kidding.
I just don't get it. So many other treasures, and the thieves choose the tripod.
A modern-day alchemist, perhaps?
Who knows? There's no shortage of crazies in Paris. Hey, I visited Nicole's apartment.
Yeah, she told me you came by.
Ooh, quite a fine Georgie boy. I didn't expect anything quite so sexy.
I hope you're referring to the manuscript.
Oui, of course.
What did you make of the manuscript?
It dates from the time of the Crusades.
We guessed that from the Templar seal.
It's a story and pictures like a modern-day comic book.
What story does the manuscript tell?
I don't know. It was probably produced for the tourist market.
Tourists?
Oh, oui, pilgrims in their thousands on their way to Jerusalem. The tourist trade is nothing new, you know. It's been around for centuries. Ever since Joshua made a packet selling souvenir bricks from the walls of Jericho.
Have you deciphered any of the images on the manuscript?
There's very little I can be sure about. The slang of the bull could be a reference to Mithras.
Who's he?
A Persian god, almost as popular as Christ at one time. The only thing I can be sure of is the knight. He's Spanish.
How can you tell that?
The writing on the shield, the reference to Ave Maria. No self-respecting knight from Northern Europe would have borne a coat of arms like that.
Can you identify the knight's coat of arms?
I already did, Georgie. He's a member of the De Vasconcelos family from the Costa Calida.
Were they famous?
No, they're not mentioned after the 15th century.
Oh.
The spotlight of history moved on. They're probably long dead.
Do you think the manuscript could be the map to the Templar treasure?
Frankly, no. That's too far-fetched. The manuscript is interesting enough and a rare find, but that's all.
Wouldn't it be terrific if it was a map, though? The treasure of the Knights Templar.
A romantic notion, Georgie, but extremely improbable.
Oh, Andre?
Oui?
What would you say if I told you I knew who'd taken the tripod?
I'd call the police and have them arrested.
That's what I thought.
Who was it?
Oh, I don't know, really. It was just a hypothetical question.
That's too bad. If I could get my hands on the thief, I'd wring his neck.
No way was I going to give the tripod back to Labano. Thanks for your help, Andre.
You're welcome.
It was an ancient Egyptian sarcophagus with a beautifully painted effigy of its owner on the lid. Access to the side and rear of the museum building was blocked by a dense clump of bushes. A real macho guy would have plunged straight into the spiky, scratchy bushes. Not me. Through the grimy glass, I could see several large shapes in a gloomy room. What they were, I couldn't imagine. There was no obvious way into the building. It was Rosso's sidekick, Sergeant Moo. Excuse me.
Stobart! I did not expect to see you so soon after that unfortunate business at the museum.
Inspector Rosso was completely satisfied with my explanation.
Ah, yes. You were accidentally trapped in an Egyptian sarcophagus.
It could happen to anyone.
Indeed, as could being knocked unconscious by a wooden salmon. What do you want now?
Have you ever heard of the Hashashin, Sergeant?
What was that?
The cult of the assassins.
What are you trying to say, Stobart?
That the clown is a member of that cult.
I see. And what proofs do you have?
Proof? I arrived at my conclusion through logical deduction and...
Pseudo-intellectual people. Leave the investigation of crime to those who know best. The police.
Maybe not. Is Rosso here?
Yes, he is. You wish to speak to him?
Yes, I do.
One moment, monsieur. It's Stobart, monsieur. He insists on talking to you again.
Thank you, Moo. What now, monsieur?
No. Maybe not. So long, Inspector.
By the way, Stobart, I thought you might like to know they found our friend Pigram.
Where did he turn up?
A little village on the Norwegian coast. The fish had made a meal of him, but the police pathologist identified the teeth. Poor Molly. He had such dignity. It's hard to imagine him ending up as fish food.
It was a public telephone.
Who is this?
It's George. Are you okay?
Yes, I am fine.
I once read a list of low-stress jobs. It didn't include police work. Obviously, this guy hadn't read the same list. Hello again, officer.
Hello again, monsieur.
What do you think of this?
A blood pressure sleeve.
Don't you want to know why I'm carrying it?
No! That would be dangerously similar to making inquiries. I might get a reputation for taking my job seriously.
What do you know about medieval ironmongery? Have a look at this little baby.
A tripod. What is it for?
You mean you don't know?
No, monsieur. Nor do you, I think.
I'll see you around.
Oui, monsieur. I'll be there.
A typically Parisian sidewalk cafe. Last time I visited one of those, it blew up. I decided I was happy enough right where I was. There was a small crowd of 5 sightseers. It's a weird thing, but you can take the most intelligent people in the world, put them in their vacation duds, and hey presto, they look like morons. Why is that? The juggler was good. Why he couldn't put that kind of application into getting a real job, I had no idea. Maybe he just liked dressing up like a horse's ass. I had no desire to talk to the crowd. Hey, you with the balls.
Oui?
How did you learn to be a juggler?
Juggler? What is this juggler?
It's you. You juggle, that makes you a juggler.
No, I am a jongleur.
A jongler? What's that?
Mon Dieu! A jongleur is an artist, a master of the contragravitic aeroballetic mysteries. In centuries past, the courts of the crowned heads of Europe had the jongleurs, witty, erudite men to whom the monarchs turned in their hours of need.
Wait a minute, wait. Let me get this straight. Our enemies are at the borders, plague ravages the land, and the peasants are revolting. Thank God we've got Chuckles the Jongler to throw his balls around. I don't think so. That juggling doesn't look so difficult.
Oh, it does not, does it not? Perhaps you feel you could do better, no?
I'll give it a try.
Be my guest.
I had no idea what I was doing. But this guy was obviously an idiot, so how difficult could it be? A lot more difficult than I thought. That's how difficult. Still, it was my big chance to be derided by complete strangers.
Not so easy after all, is it?
No, I guess not. What do you know about the Knights Templar?
Le Templier? Ah, the last Grand Master, Jacques du Molay, was burnt on an island in the Seine in 1314.
Wow. You're pretty well educated for a juggler.
No, monsieur. I read it on that board over there.
Does this grease paint mean anything to you?
It looks like one of mine, or at least another jongleur.
Or a clown?
Mais naturellement, a clown.
Hardly a breakthrough. Look, a red nose.
Ah, you are a clown.
A clown?
No, if so, you would be a much better jongleur.
For a moment, an idea capered around near the spotlight of my attention, but fell down the pothole of abstraction before I could focus on it. Look, a red nose.
Oh, you say, whoop-de-doo.
Have you seen this man before?
No.
Does this matchbook mean anything to you?
You smoke.
No, I don't.
In that case, it means nothing to me.
This gadget is a sewer key.
I do not want it, thank you.
Well, I'm not selling it, I just wanted your opinion.
It is hardly my area of expertise.
Does this lab pass mean anything to you?
You work in a lab.
No, try again.
You steal lab passes?
No. Well, not as a habit. This was a special case. Feast your eyes on this.
Incroyable! Is it real?
I think so.
Some people believe that great gems always have curses upon them.
Oh, that's garbage. Although, now that I think about it, both of the people who had this before me disappeared in mysterious circumstances. And the guy who was supposed to get this was shot and then murdered in his hospital bed. Do you want it?
No, thank you.
Does this plaster interest you?
Well,
Forget it. Forget that I asked. What do you think of this?
it is a medical device, oui?
Oui, yes. I've got a medieval tripod.
And my Uncle Claude has hemorrhoids. So what?
It didn't seem right to fry somebody's palm when they make their living with their hands. Catch you later.
Au revoir, monsieur.
In the middle of the square was a manhole. I wondered if there might be something relevant beneath street level. I couldn't open it with my bare hands.
Hey! Hey, you! What do you think you are doing? Leave that comer alone! Now!
Sorry, no harm intended.
You stay away from that!
There was a small crowd of 5 sightseers. It's a weird thing, but you can take the most intelligent people in the world, put them in their vacation duds, and hey presto, they look like morons. Why is that? I had no desire to talk to the crowd.
Hey! Hey, you! What do you think you are doing? Leave that comer alone! Now!
Sorry, no harm intended.
You stay away from that!
A row of old pews, beautifully carved and glowing with polish. I thought of all the people who must have sat here over the decades. All those Parisian derrieres, firm buttocks of the young ladies, the flabby flesh of the old men. That wasn't a pleasing image, so I went back to the young ladies. Whoa! I wondered if this guy had died in combat. Hi again.
Oui? What is it this time?
Look, a red nose.
Oh, you say, whoop-de-doo.
Catch you later.
Au revoir, monsieur.
No point in phoning that guy again.
Who is this?
It's George. I found the site of Montfaucon.
Yeah? Is there any sign of the KT?
For the Templars? Nah, just an idiot juggler. How can anyone perform totally useless tricks with such a degree of smugness? God, I hate jugglers.
There must be something special at the site, George. It was obviously important to them.
It was a battered metal toolbox. The toolbox didn't contain anything else I needed. I'm no student of architecture, but the little building looked old. I wondered if it was some sort of summer house. There was a crotchety old guy watering the lawn. If this garden was all his own work, he was more capable than he looked. Hi, is this the De Vasconcelos house?
Who wants to know?
I could tell the old coot was going to be trouble. My name's George Stobart. I was wondering whether...
The house is not open to the public.
This is the De Vasconcelos house.
And what business is that of yours, senor?
Look, all I want is to speak to the head of the household.
There is no household. Only the Countess and myself.
Tell me about the Countess de Vasconcelos.
She doesn't receive guests. That's all you need to know.
You don't even know what I have to talk to her about.
She hasn't won the lottery, has she?
No, she hasn't won the lottery.
A more cunning man might have claimed that she had.
Oh yeah? They might have, might they?
And that more cunning man would have been kicked off the premises. The Countess doesn't do the lottery.
What do you know about the Templars?
Who wants to know?
Are you angling for a bribe or something?
You have nothing that I want, senor, except the pleasure of your absence.
The guy was obviously protecting the Countess against the whole world. But why? Do you recognize this man?
No.
What do you make of this?
So that's it. You're a salesman.
If I was hawking medical supplies, I can think of better places to hawk 'em. This lab pass mean anything to you?
Nothing.
Do you know what this is?
See, I have a similar tool for opening culverts on the estate.
I don't suppose this red nose means anything to you, does it?
Ah! El Flojo!
El who?
El Flojo! He is a clown on state television.
Oh, is he any good?
He is as funny as scabies, without the laughs.
Look at this tissue.
It's a tissue with some greasy muck on it.
Yes, that's right. Do you recognize this matchbook?
I don't smoke.
Have you got any use for a fistful of plaster?
No.
See this gem? Men have died for it.
Do I look as if I care?
What do you think of this tripod?
I think nothing of it.
Would you like to shake hands?
I do not think so, senor.
Okay. Well, I'll see you around.
Adios.
I'm no student of architecture, but the little building looked old. I wondered if it was some sort of summer house. Down below the estate, I could see the sea stretching away. It was a beautiful sight, and looked a lot like the scene from the manuscript. I wanted to go swimming, but I didn't have the time. The door was a handsome piece of work, in keeping with the ornateness of the rest of the building. Rats! It's locked. Over the doorway was a statue of a hooded figure bearing a cross. It looked kind of sinister. From a distance, I thought it might be a summer house. Close up, I wasn't so sure. I didn't want to mess with the building. The statue on the top of the building looked like the one in the Parisian church. He seemed to be looking out to sea. For what? I wasn't about to go clambering on rooftops if I didn't have to. The main part of the house was old, but nowhere near as old as the gatehouse section. The older part of the house looked like the remains of a castle gatehouse. Was this what the clues were pointing to? I couldn't get in that way. It was then I realized I'd left home without my pocket siege engine. The hose ran from some sort of utility room all the way to the lawn. I didn't like the idea of carrying 30 yards of hose around me, so I left it alone.
Hey, you.
Yeah? What is it?
You would not like it if people just wandered into your home, would you?
Well, no, I guess not.
Then show a little consideration.
Okay. Sorry. The hose ran from some sort of utility room all the way to the lawn. I didn't like the idea of carrying 30 yards of hose around me, so I left it alone. Hello again.
You again.
Yep, and it's a real bonus to see your smiling face, too. I'll be going for now.
Adios, senor.
It was then I realized I'd left home without my pocket siege engine. Down the long, dusty driveway was a road along which a bus traveled maybe twice a day. I knew because I'd arrived on one. And no way was I leaving until I'd got something concrete to show Nico. Rats! It's locked. From a distance, I thought it might be a summer house. Close up, I wasn't so sure. I didn't want to mess with the building. The hose ran from some sort of utility room all the way to the lawn. I didn't like the idea of carrying 30 yards of hose around me, so I left it alone. Maybe not. Maybe not.
My hose has stopped.
Yeah?
See, my hose never stops.
Well, I'm sorry to hear it. It's always sad when an old tradition comes to an end.
Did you have anything to do with it? See, you.
Well, I'm shocked. I'm mortified. How could you think such a thing?
Very easily, senor. Very easily. I'm going to find out why my hose has stopped. And that means going into the house. You are not, absolutely not, to go in the house. If you do go in the house, I will set the dogs on you.
I didn't like the idea of carrying 30 yards of hose around me, so I left it alone. The pressure sleeve had done a good job of closing off the hose. I didn't like the idea of carrying 30 yards of hose around me, so I left it alone.
I could see the gardener trying to figure out what was wrong with the hose. Time for cat-footed stealthiness. There was no way that I wanted to draw attention to myself. There was a big aspidistra sitting on a table in the hall. I love suits of armor. Who doesn't?
Hey, you.
Who, me?
Come here. Look, senor, all I want is a quiet life. A life without mad, house-breaking foreigners in it. Understand?
Look, I just wanted to, use the bathroom.
Leave now, please.
Okay, I'm going.
I love suits of armor. Who doesn't? The armor was about my size. I had a mental vision of putting it on and clanking off to see the Countess. with the gardener hanging hopelessly on the outside trying to stop me. Apart from being stupid and unworkable, it was a great plan. There was a big aspidistra sitting on a table in the hall. I didn't want a pot plant.
Hey, you on the stairs.
Oops.
I know this doesn't look good, but
This is the second time I've caught you skulking around in here. If I find you in here once more, I'd call the police.
There's no reason to drag the police into this. I
do not want to hear your excuses. Leave.
Okay, don't get excited. I love suits of armor. Who doesn't? Must have been traveling pretty fast when he hit the wall. I didn't want an example of the taxidermist's art. A big chandelier, studded with plain white candles. Probably pretty impressive when all lit up. And it must keep the moth population down. I couldn't go up there. I hid behind the armor and waited for developments.
Hey, you. I know you are there, American. All right, you dogs. I'm coming.
It was just a little utility room with no exit, unless you counted the window, and I didn't. It was a small mirror hanging over the sink. From the scum in the sink, it looked like he shaved there.
Madre Dios, who are you?
My name's George Stobart. I'm sorry to burst in like this.
You must leave at once. You're not wanted here.
Please, if you'd just listen a minute.
Very well. State your business, Senor Stobart.
There's been a series of murders, part of some conspiracy. Anyway, the trail led me here.
Here? There is nothing for the outside world here.
Over 600 years ago there was.
What do you mean?
This whole thing ties in somehow with the Knights Templar.
The Knights Templar are dust.
They had a secret that was so important they went to a lot of trouble to hide it.
I do not see what this has to do with my family.
Your family had a strong connection with the Templars, right? I believe that they've planted some clues here.
Why should I believe a complete stranger who barges into my home?
Just let me have a look around. If I find nothing...
You'll be spending the night at the police station. Very well. Please, sit down.
Thank you. I know your family is involved with the Templars, but I don't know how.
You should be asking how my family were involved, Senor Stobart. The Templars ceased to exist centuries ago. And as for the De Vasconcelos, the line dies with me.
I'm sorry.
Don't be.
Okay, whatever happened almost 700 years ago. So, if the Templars left any clues, they're going to be in stuff that dates back to the early 14th century.
Obviously.
So, what do you have around here that's early medieval?
Early medieval. Let me think. Well, the house is relatively modern, a scant 3 centuries old. Or, of course, the chess set.
That chess set is over 600 years old? It must be worth a fortune.
Indeed it is. Not that I would part with it, of course.
No, I wouldn't either. That's the sort of thing that gets handed down to your children. Sorry.
Its value is less than you might think. The set is not complete. One of the pieces is a modern replacement. As to the original, it was lost a long time ago.
Nobody has any idea where it is?
No. The children had it when they were taken.
Children? What children?
All in good time, Senor Stobart.
May I examine the chess set?
Certainly, but do not move any of the pieces.
Okay, thanks. Close up, the modern piece stood out like a sore thumb. There was something else odd about the set. All of the original pieces had irregular bases.
My lady, I have to warn you, there's a... You! Why, I'll feed you to the dogs.
Lopez, what have I told you about feeding intruders to the dogs?
But, my lady...
Never without my permission. Senor Stobart, if I find that you're wasting my time, you will be fed to the dogs. Now, I want to show you something interesting. Follow me. Lopez, unlock the door, por favor. This is the only remaining structure on the estate contemporary with the Templars.
Nice. What is it, a summer house?
A mausoleum, Senor Stobart.
Oh.
Come with me.
Hey, senor.
Yeah?
I do not know what you have told my lady to be shown these favors, but I do not trust you.
You've got nothing to worry about. Aren't you coming in?
No, the dead do not interest me. My garden is a living thing. I will be there.
Wow, this is old.
It was constructed in the 13th century as the final resting place for the De Vasconcelos Templars.
It's well maintained.
These are my ancestors, and they deserve respect. I come here at least once a week to say a prayer for them.
Mind if I have a look around?
By all means.
May I ask you something?
You may ask.
You certainly know your history.
What's your opinion of the Templars, Senor Stobart?
The Templars? Well, they seem no worse than a lot of the knightly orders.
You are mistaken. Compared to the simpering politicians of the Hospitallers or the brutish Teutonics, the Knights Templar were the embodiment of chivalry. The filthy, money-grabbing French king and his pet pope did a great wrong. A bane settled upon my family at the whim of that self-seeking tyrant.
It was all a long time ago.
Some things don't die. Injustice is one of them.
Do you recognize this man?
No, I have never seen him before in my life. Who is he?
I've got a couple of names for him, but they're probably false. He's the killer.
No, his face is utterly unfamiliar.
Does this matchbook mean anything to you?
Club Alamut. Not an establishment that I am familiar with, a young man.
Does this lab pass mean anything to you?
Nothing at all.
Okay, thanks.
Not at all.
The mausoleum contained 5 tombs for 5 of the Knights Templar, man-size in marble. I wasn't about to start heaving at sarcophagus lids with the Countess standing there. High up in the dome were windows. I guess they might open them to make it less stuffy in there. I couldn't climb up there without breaking something. Hanging from the ceiling was a huge yellowed candle. It looked really old and had never been lit. I couldn't reach up there. A big statuette of the Virgin Mary kept an eye on the place. It was too delicate to move. In front of the shrine was a lectern with a Bible on it. On removing the Bible, I found a pattern on the lectern top. Hey, it's a checkerboard! The lectern top had a pattern of glass squares on it. Close up, I could see that the pattern was made up of glass squares over a checkerboard pattern. Some of the squares had little jagged holes in the middle. Close up, I could see that the pattern was made up of glass squares over a checkerboard pattern. Some of the squares had little jagged holes in the middle. It was a rod with a cone and a hook on the end. I guessed it was for snuffing out the big candle in the chandelier. Now what? There was nothing to snuff. Feeling like an idiot, I put it down again. No way. Would you tell me something?
What do you want to know?
Who exactly are these people?
My ancestors. These 5 men were all members of the Templars.
5 ancestors in the order. You must be very proud.
Not 5, 6.
Where's the 6th knight?
He was lost to us.
You lost an ancestor?
It is a family matter. It can have no relevance.
Well, it's connected with the curse of the De Vasconcelos, isn't it?
Yes, it is. I hope you will honor my desire not to talk about it.
Okay, well, I'll leave it for now. That's a big candle. Where would you buy a thing like that from?
You could not. It is an antique, unique to my knowledge.
Just how old is it?
It dates from the Middle Ages, when the Moors controlled Spain. The candle was to be lit as a signal to the estate workers if the Moors attacked.
Is the Virgin Mary really the right person to be sharing a mausoleum with 5 knights?
You are showing your ignorance, Senor Stobart. The Templars were dedicated to the Virgin Mary.
What's the story with the glass chessboard?
Glass chessboard. Oh, the pattern on the lectern, purely decorative, I'm sure.
There are pieces of glass missing from it.
Oh, it has been like that since I was a girl.
The gaps in the glass chessboard look awfully deliberate.
No, it is ridiculous. What possible significance can it have?
It's part of a chessboard, and the gaps are for...
Senor Stobart, you cannot mean...
This place was built for the Templars. Your chess set is as old as the Templars. It's kind of suggestive, isn't it? I think this must be it. This is what the manuscript is pointing to.
This is extraordinary. Am I to understand that the Templars left a puzzle here? And in all of this time we failed to realize that there was a puzzle?
It was wonderful to watch the Countess change before my eyes.
Right. Well, no time for wallowing in self-pity, eh, Senor Stobart? This mystery has had a good long run, but it ain't here and now.
All those years of fatalism were falling away from her.
Lopez! Lopez! Put that hoe down and listen! Go to the house and get my chess set! Yes, the old chess set! Oh, damn the game! Now, hurry! This is exciting, is it not?
Don't get too excited. This could be a blind alley.
Oh, I do not believe that for a moment.
It's good to see you happy.
Happy? You know, I think I am.
While we're waiting, I'd really like to know what happened here. I mean, the curse and everything?
It all began at the time of the dissolution of the Templars. Don Carlos had already left their ranks to become a scholar.
Don Carlos, is he the guy who went missing?
Si, but he had reckoned without the local bishop. Their bishop envied us our lands and determined to use the papal edict as an excuse to destroy us. Don Carlos was on one of his scholarly journeys when the Inquisition arrived. When Don Carlos returned, it was to find his loyal manservant slain and his children gone.
They took the kids? But why?
Oh, we will never know. The bishop denied all knowledge of the children's disappearance. But witnesses had seen his men kill the servant who had been charged to protect them.
What happened to Don Carlos?
He swore he'd find his children if he had to go to the edge of the world. He put on his armor and took up his sword and shield and rode out alone. He was never seen again. Ah, Lopez, you have the pieces.
Si, my lady, as you asked.
Por favor, Senor Stobart, would you be so kind?
My lady.
Calm yourself, Lopez. I believe Senor Stobart's motives are pure.
Very well, my lady. My lady seems to trust you.
But you don't.
No, senor.
It fits, Senor Stobart. It fits.
Working quickly, I found which pieces went into which holes.
Senor Stobart, look!
What is that? It's not the Holy Grail, is it?
No, Senor Stobart. It is the communion chalice of the De Vasconcelos, missing for almost 700 years.
Wow. Well, go on.
I cannot. I can hardly believe it is real.
Go ahead.
Live a little.
Are you sure? This is your moment of triumph, Senor Stobart.
Sure, I'm sure. The possibility of death traps only occurred to me a few days later.
So the curse of the De Vasconcelos is lifted?
Oh no, the Countess was thrilled to find the lost chalice. But there's still the riddle of the missing knight.
Well, you can forget about that now and get back to finding the Templars' secret.
Actually, I promised the Countess I'd find Don Carlos.
You what?
I can explain everything.
You have got the odds for a withered old Spanish aristocrat?
The Countess entrusted me with the chalice and the quest for her ancestor's tomb.
You're as crazy as she is. Haven't you got enough problems? Khan and the Templars?
It's all part of the same thing. The chalice is important, I'm sure. The manuscript pointed us to the knight, and I have to find him.
What then?
I don't know. But when the knight and the chalice are reunited, maybe I will. This is the chalice I discovered in Spain.
I still can't figure out why the Countess gave it to you. After losing it for all those years, she simply gave it away to a total stranger? She's one prawn short of a paella.
The Countess is a fine lady. You shouldn't compare her with seafood.
I wouldn't be surprised if there's something going on between you and that Countess.
Are you serious? She's old enough to be my grandmother. Did I show you the chalice?
Yes, Josh, you did.
Let's take another look at the manuscript. That's the clue that led me to Spain. There's a guy with a sword and a bull. Between them is a gem supported by a tripod. That's the clue that led me to Spain. The Night Scroll bears a phrase in Latin. Through my teachings, you will be enlightened. There's a woman looking at her reflection in a mirror, but the reflection has 3 hideous faces. I have to go.
Okay, I'll see you later.
The woman was doing something with a pair of needles that couldn't be described as knitting. She was a cheery old soul, the kind you'd walk across the street to avoid. Oh, hi.
Hello, my handsome friend.
Maybe not. Do you know what this tripod was used for?
I couldn't imagine.
See you later.
That's right, monsieur. You will.
The last of the summer blooms on the flower stall were a reminder of the coming fall. I inhaled deeply, expecting to experience the scent of the flowers. What I got was traffic fumes.
He was a thin-faced, pallid guy with a questionable taste in outlandish clothes. My mother used to dress like that.
Hi, Andre. Hello, Georgie.
What do you make of this cup, Andre?
It's a 14th century communion vessel. Spanish, probably.
You sure know your onions.
Thanks for your help, Andre.
You're welcome.
There was a small crowd of 5 sightseers. It's a weird thing, but you can take the most intelligent people in the world, put them in their vacation duds, and hey presto, they look like morons. Why is that? Hi again.
Oui? What is it this time?
Look, a red nose.
Oh, you say, whoop-de-doo.
The juggler was good. Why he couldn't put that kind of application into getting a real job, I had no idea. Maybe he just liked dressing up like a horse's ass. Hi again.
Oui? What is it this time?
Does this chalice mean anything to you?
It is very badly designed. I would not wish to drink from such a vessel.
You're not going to get the chance, Buster. Look, a red nose.
Oh, you say, whoop-de-doo.
It didn't seem right to fry somebody's palm when they make their living with their hands. Catch you later.
Au revoir, monsieur.
I had no desire to talk to the crowd. Maybe not. I couldn't open it with my bare hands.
Hey! Hey, you! What do you think you are doing? Leave that comer alone! Now!
Sorry, no harm intended.
You stay away from that!
I once read a list of low-stress jobs. It didn't include police work. Obviously, this guy hadn't read the same list. In the middle of the square was a manhole. I wondered if there might be something relevant beneath street level. I couldn't open it with my bare hands.
Hey! Hey, you! What do you think you are doing? Leave that comer alone! Now!
Sorry, no harm intended.
You stay away from that!
Hi again.
Oui? What is it this time?
Does this grease paint mean anything to you?
A red nose? And now grease paint? You are sure you are not a clown?
Well, I was distracted by the idea again. Caper, caper, caper. Plummet. Nope. Gone again. Does this grease paint mean anything to you?
A red nose? And now grease paint? You are sure you are not a clown?
Well, I was distracted by the idea again. Caper, caper, caper. Plummet. Nope. Gone again. Does this plaster interest you?
Well,
Forget it. Forget that I asked. Does this matchbook mean anything to you?
you smoke.
No, I don't.
In that case, it means nothing to me.
Catch you later.
Au revoir, monsieur.
An ornate fountain stood in one corner of the square. I'd have to come by here in the summer to see it working. There was no water to frolic about in, and the leaf mold that was collecting there just wasn't the same somehow. Fixed to the wall was a sign in 3 languages. In French, English, and German it read, "In 1312, Pope Clement V dissolved the knightly order of the Templars and excommunicated its members on charges of heresy. In the following 2 years, many of the knights were hanged on this site. Their Grand Master, Jacques de Molay, was burnt at the stake on an island in the Seine." That is not a good idea.
A knight's tomb, his effigy in marble lying in perpetual state, waiting in prayer for the judgment day. A knight there in the company of his fellows. Biblical references engraved into the tomb edge to guide his way to the next world, I guess. A stone knight lay on the church floor. Just think, there's a dead guy under there. The second stone knight in a row of 4 lay on the church floor. I was surprised Philip le Bel had left this place alone. A stone knight lay in full stone armor, blank eyes looking at the ceiling. Carrying all that armor around must have been hard work. A stone knight lay at the end of a row of 4. I wondered if this guy had died in combat. A statue of a knight holding a staff and a scroll. The statue had any secrets. It was concealing them pretty well. On the end of the staff was some kind of disc with a cross on it. Around the base of the disc was a hairline crack. Well, I could have just taken the end off the staff, but I wanted to be sure what I'd be getting out of vandalizing a church, other than deported. A scroll was a symbol of scholarship. I knew that much. A scholarly knight. That rang a bell. A very Spanish bell. A scroll was a symbol of scholarship. I knew that much. A scholarly knight. That rang a bell. A very Spanish bell. Per disciplinum meum lux videbis. A bit of a stained glass window. Wow! Hoping for a big insight while squinting through a hunk of statuary had been pretty optimistic, I guess. A huge arched window. Somehow it looked more modern than its neighbor. An enormous window. In comparison to its neighbor, it looked pretty plain. A huge stained glass window formed a magnificent centerpiece for its neighbors. I didn't recognize the biblical story in it. I was a Sunday school dropout. An architectural echo of the gallows that once used to stand here.
A typically Parisian sidewalk cafe. Last time I visited one of those, it blew up. I decided I was happy enough right where I was. Hello again, officer.
Hello again, monsieur.
What do you think of the juggler?
Ah, he is excellent, most watchable.
But he's blocking the thoroughfare and obstructing traffic.
So, he is amusing, the traffic isn't. If he wants to block it, who am I to say no?
You're a cop.
Ah, oui. So I am. Ah, well.
So you're not going to do anything about this guy?
No.
He probably doesn't even have a license.
Ah, a license. This I had not considered.
So what are you going to do?
The instant I return to the station, I shall check.
Return to the station? Why not just ask him?
And spoil his concentration. What kind of a barbarian do you take me for? Ah, you are a clown.
Do I look like a clown?
No, although you juggle like one. Now, if I'd known you were a clown, it would have been amusing. And not a humiliation for you.
What do you mean?
Who ever heard of a plainclothes clown?
He had a point. So you're saying that if I juggle badly with a red nose, I'd be the king of comedy. But if I juggle badly without it...
You look like a pathetic loon. Oui, monsieur, you have it.
Does this red nose mean anything to you?
No.
I'll see you around.
Oui, monsieur. I'll be there.
Hi again.
Oui? What is it this time?
Look, a red nose.
Oh, you say, whoop-de-doo.
Hi again.
Oui? What is it this time?
I'd like to have another try at juggling, please.
You have gone on a crash course, perhaps?
No. I just had an insight into presentation.
Huh?
Allow me to demonstrate. The balls, please.
If you insist on completing your humiliation, monsieur.
Okay, now for my secret weapon. The juggler was speechless with rage. You could have mistaken him for a mime. And without a word, he collected his balls and left in a fury.
Hey! You forgot one of your balls! Hey!
But he didn't hear. Better still, deprived of his entertainment, the gendarme decided maybe he ought to do some policing for a change. There was a small crowd of 5 sightseers. It's a weird thing, but you can take the most intelligent people in the world, put them in their vacation duds, and hey presto, they look like morons. Why is that?
In French, English, and German it read, "In 1312, Pope Clement V dissolved the Knightly Order of the Templars and excommunicated its members on charges of heresy. In the following 2 years, many of the knights were hanged on this site. Their Grand Master, Jacques de Molay, was burnt at the stake on an island in the Seine." Fixed to the wall was a sign in 3 languages. It was the bright red ball I'd got from the juggler.
The recent showers had made the levels rise a little, but at least the place didn't smell so much. What's a guy supposed to do with a sewer? Don't answer that. If I wanted to get deeper into these catacombs, I was going to have to get onto that path. If the near edge hadn't crumbled away, I could have jumped it easily. Now, I wasn't so sure. Okay, it's long jump time. Here goes. Do I look crazy or something?